Okay, hey everybody, this is Grace. In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about behaviors that I personally see as more of that along the line of psychopaths and sociopaths. I have really wanted to focus on these, for a while. It's different now than it was when I was studying years ago, eons ago. And it wasn't something like all around people, my first degrees, my degrees are in psychology and sociology, and I started off actually as a math and computer science major, and then I chose psychology, and then I added sociology as a minor, then a second major, and so on and so forth. Actually, my minor before that was anthropology. But anyway, and then I was a career student for over 20 years, both undergraduate and graduate university, and the rest is history. But, back then, when in the early years, people didn't talk so much about, these personality disorders, cluster Bs, personality disorders, antisocial. Antisocial is one that some people don't place psychopathy, sociopathy under those, psychopaths, sociopaths. Not everybody. And some say it's a totally different thing, and there's just so much of if buts and babies and all that. And but then there's histrionic personality disorder. I personally think that is the one that needs to be focused a lot of attention on. And at one point they were trying to take it out of the DSM. I think before this more recent one, they want to take it out, and I had heard that for a long time. And actually, I went to the library, got a book on it, and everything. Got parts of a book on it. Copies. Whatever it was. I actually checked out the book to read about this. And I think that would, maybe it's because it's, the behaviors seem to be very common. I'm not saying this disorder, because a person has to be diagnosed by a professional. Not just anybody, but professionals, wherever a person lives, whatever that is, that the government says is the professionals, the people who can diagnose. But don't get me going started on that. People wanting people to think they can when they can't. But also, histrionic, narcissistic, and what's called borderline personality disorder. All these disorders is for. It wasn't so much about that. It wasn't early on. Like I said, over 20 years I was a career student, and early on it wasn't. They just basically, even in graduate school, basically called abusive people. Okay, really. They're abusive people, but I even suspected whenever I first started talking about narcissistic behaviors, and on YouTube, it was about 9 years ago, and I did not know anybody else was. I was just talking about something I had always been interested in not always, but for many years, was these behaviors, and I talked about these online. I had my first computer in 1982. And we can say since probably around 1990, I talked about these things. But most of it was in writing before then. But anyway, a lot of it was, about narcissists. But I really wanted to focus on the people who are psychopaths to move on here. Not people who you might see on TV or in a movie, something like that, or one of these ID channels, criminals. Because some of these people, they don't go out and physically harm people, but their behaviors are so harsh. They're, I don't want to use certain words, but the way they mentally, I'm trying to avoid the words, but yeah, they do a person bad. They do a person wrong mentally. They mess them up big time. And it's all because, it's all because of their own screwed up brains, disordered. I'm not going to say disorder, because then you think it's the disorder. their screwed up brains. And they can do great damage to people. And I know a lot of people want to put everything under narcissist. They say, oh, that's just a narcissist. Oh, that's just a narcissist. First of all, why are they diagnosing? Are you that person who is their legal person to make such a determination? But we do that for our own safety. I get it, in our own minds. But go around telling people, oh, yeah. I have a feeling and a fear that more and more people who are like that are going to be suing people for defamation of character and winning. Okay, because these people are so manipulative and so charming quite often. Very charming. They know how to work the system, and they know, some of them, this is not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. But some of them just, they can be, there could be all kinds of evidence, but because they know how to speak, because they're like I said, manipulative. They know how to do it. People will lose against them, and they just walk off smirking. And I in my mind, I apply this thought of somebody who smirks a lot, more of the psychopath and the sociopath. Now, I've mentioned many times in the past, when I was a student, psychopaths, the difference between them is a psychopath is one who usually has a target, and it could be a target at a time. And anybody else gets hurt, they're just collateral damage. Like they might have their whatever relation, it could be their spouse, or it could be this or that. Okay, it could be a parent, it could be anybody that is their target. Somebody that saw on TV one time, who knows? Now, a sociopath, they don't care. They could use, this is how I was taught. Whoever it is, they don't really have a target. It's just whoever, and they just go out and do their damage, or say it's at a job, and they just do their damage at a job. A really bad boss, who just mentally does people wrong. How many of us have had bosses like that? It's like it's a hard, really bad economic time, and people really need their jobs, and there's not any new jobs out there, and that person is just gets a kick out of it. There's so many different things that could be, but just knows it and uses it, and just harshly, psychologically screws with people's minds. They use verbal abuse. They use whatever is at their disposal. They don't do anything physically, because there's still people out there who believe that the only kind of abuse there is it has to be physical in order for it to that's it to them. It's just that. And anybody else talking about somebody emotionally abuse them, to these people, it's really, come on, that's not abuse. I knew a nurse, and she was online. She let everybody know how she's around my age. I don't think she makes videos anymore, but she let everybody know how she saw it, and that she saw that it was the only kind of abuse was physical. And this is not too long ago. And wow, the ignorance. So I would hate to have a nurse like that who believed in that kind of thing. I would hate to have anybody who believes that way in my life. Seriously. Okay, anyway, to get back around to this, I really do want to say more about people who have these kinds of behaviors, but they don't. These, like psychopathy, sociopathy. And they aren't physically hurting anybody. Like I said, they're not going to be on, some TV show, or anybody who represents that type. Maybe, they're not going to have the physical violence side to it at all. Okay. And just how they can damage people's minds. I want to talk about that. At the same time, I'm like, I don't know. Because I have a lot to say about that. A lot. Because a lot of, like I said, a lot of what some people, to me, I have been making video, like I already just explained all that. But what I've heard people say, a lot of them are saying this person's a narcissist, and that's why they're so cruel and they're so evil and they're so this and that. And I'm listening to them in my mind. I'm saying, no, they are like psychopaths. They are, wow. You know, because to me, I'm not saying it has to be this way to you at all. But to me, a narcissist, they don't care about anybody but themselves. Anybody else's collateral damage. They're not evil with it. I do not, I mean, some people say they're on the spectrum and they're real far down the line. And no, I think that's when they reached over to going, or they are, always have been, psychopaths, pure evil. That's how I see psychopaths, pure evil. Okay, I don't know why some people are sitting right here. But that is not a turning lane. Maybe it is. Anyway. But the mental part of it is just, it can be, to me, so they're so deep. But I think a lot of times people are going to think of it as more as like a, you know, just something that goes alongside, of narcissism. But that's just a little bit of it. You see, like what I'm saying? So that's just like a little bitty, teeny tiny speck on narcissism. Narcissists are all the horrible people, when it could be the other way around. You see, that the narcissism is just a little portion of what these psychopaths are all about. And, yeah. Anyway, and they can really do people damage. So much damage. And these things not being fully understood worries me, and I'm not saying that I know 100% what is right and what is wrong. Like I say, these days that psychopath and sociopath, so many people don't even use sociopath anymore. Okay, they don't even use these terms. They don't even categorize it this way. And I don't have the latest DSM, so I don't know how they have it categorized, if at all, if it's even in there. I don't think it is at all. You know, and then like I said, there's this big debate between some people if it falls under antisocial or not. Okay, so. Okay, let me try this again. What I want to talk about, get back to it, is that of when the psychopath, sociopath, they do not even feel it at all. These, my goodness, this is my second try at this. Any remorse, guilt, or shame. And what I've seen, as a lighter version of it, is like with people who tailgate. Have you ever, you know, they get so close that you can, you know, like you stop at a light after they've been tailgating you and they're still really close, and you look up at them and they have nothing on their faces. Their faces are blank, just total blank. Okay, now this is something I have seen in people. They're totally blank. They've done something wrong. What many people, if not all people, would think of as wrong, they've done it. And then when it's even called on the carpet about it, they're just blank stare. You know, that's what I would see as a psychopathic stare, or the sociopathic stare. Yeah, I had to move my SUV because too many kids were over there, and I don't put other people's kids in my videos. Hopefully there's none out here, if I'm not trying to. So anyway, but you know, I went through this whole thing before. I was in a restaurant, and I seriously remember it. It wasn't too many years ago. I think it was 2018, 2019, somewhere around there. And I was in with Adam, and we were in a restaurant, and we were sitting at a booth, and he was sitting in front of me, and behind him, like to catty corner, to where where he was sitting, like behind him on the other side, catty corner, like I said, there was a guy sitting there around my age, and he kept staring at me. He just would not move his eyes, from me. The whole time he was eating, he was just staring at me, and it was freaky. And I think that the video I made up put it as narcissistic stare, and I mentioned that some people would call it. I usually say some people would call it, narcissism or narcissistic or whatever. like I said, I don't actually agree with the way a lot of people define it. You know, to put people, categorize people under that. No, not really. But to me, even then, it was more, you know, like a psychopath or a sociopath. You know, like I would think I'd see them. But also in this kind of thing, when they do something and they feel no remorse, guilt, or shame, they just say they're not ashamed of what they're doing. That would be like, are you bonkers to think I should feel anything for when I do what I do? And I've seen people just to stare, just to look, the no emotion or anything on their face, and it's quite frightening to me. I don't see that very often. I want to say that. You know, most of the people that, you know, most of the situations I'm in doing these, you know, what I do for a living, I've done like 400. I've been to 400 people's houses. You know, I do these deliveries, food deliveries for the health insurance, not the money, but the health insurance, that not through them, but through the government. You have to prove to them I live in Texas, and on and on. But I've been to, say, at least I would think around 400 since July, and you know, most of them are really good experience. I mean, they're not even experience. You know, they're just what it is. You go pick up the food, go deliver it, no biggie. But some of them are weird, funny, but some of them are scary. And overall, I'd say maybe out of all of them, I would say 3 or 4, maybe 5 maximum have been kind of, you know, little on the scary side, or what the heck. Like some of it has been the roads. The roads are really bad roads, you know, that just all of a sudden it goes from like what you're seeing in front of you to just backwoods kind of thing that you can just fall off and boom, that game over. You know, you drive a little bit of slickness and that's it, you know. Anyway, but this is the way I am with, you know, I see people. I very seldom, very, very seldom see people like this, but I do see them in my lifetime. I have seen, you know, enough to say that blank stare is frightening, because they cannot seem to comprehend that what they did was in any way, shape, form, or fashion wrong, you know. And that's whether somebody is actually telling them, hey, you don't do that, or not. Or just people look at them and just go, whoa. No, they don't see it. Some of them actually think it's funny, but some of them is just nothing. It's a nothingness. You know, blank stare, nothingness. I don't want to say zombie, because they are human. But that kind of just blank, you know. Yeah, but some of them, some are more of this, of that they think is funny, and not in the way that you would think. No, they think that's like gaslighting. Adam had said that he thought he watched that movie Gaslight for the first time. I'd say within the past year or so, and he said that he had done something that was that he realized then was gaslighting somebody, and he said that all he felt back then was that it was funny, you know, that what he did, it was just funny. And some people, they do think, and when you really think about it, they say, oh, you know, you pulling a prank on someone, or April Fool's joke, or, you know, something like that, and when you really start to think about it, you go, whoa, that's a little bit too far. But some people don't have that in them to measure and say, oh, I can't do that. That's way too, you know, that's way too much. And so they are so humored by themselves on how they see it, that they just see it as humorous. And then they cannot change their mind on it, because, well, that wasn't my intention. You know, they'll say that it wasn't my intention. If the ones who really don't care, they're not going to even say, well, it wasn't my intention. They're just going to look at you like you're bizarre because you didn't find that funny. Everybody should find it funny to them. See, but can you see the difference that I'm trying to, very hard to describe? As some people, they're just blank. Nothing is going to make them feel anything, even even feel that they want to say something to you like you're wrong. They just don't feel. Blank. It's just blank. Yeah. Okay, anyway, I'm out here to try to do something. I hope it's not one of those. It's Saturday night. Saturday evening. I should have something. But, well, so I'm here to do this. We'll see. I don't know. I don't think I ever get back to the video and say, oh, I did good. Or usually, if it's anything, I'm back and I'm saying I didn't do anything. You know, that's a shame with this kind of stuff. Because I just have to prove to the government I can make a certain amount of money. But then I just started doing my taxes. Yeah, it's March 23rd, 2020. And I went to print off one of them. I thought it was on the website I'd get the 1099 whatever. And apparently I didn't qualify for any of them. And one of them has changed to the 1099K, which the IRS told me it wouldn't be that. It would be something else, which is $600. Then they get one. But the other one, the 1099K, what it says on their website is it has to be $20,000 or more that I earned. I didn't earn $20,000. So this puts me in a, yeah, I'm going to have to call the, the affordable marketplace. The marketplace is what it's called. That's what I went through to get it. I'm just might wind up, I would say that I just wind up paying for just a regular insurance, but those plans are so awful. I wouldn't have the same one I have now, which is really good, but I had one of these. I said it's bad. Well, it's known as the best one, but hey. But anyway, I won't get back to it. I'll probably not. Probably won't. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up this one, but I do want to talk more about this blankness. Yeah, darkness. Talk to you on another video. Bye.